Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April 12th, 2023, and welcome to the Java Cafe. You are here for the April episode of Waterfront Wednesday, sponsored by the Boston Waterfront Coalition. Listen, next Saturday is Earth Day, and I think it's so important that we continue the conversation about being good stewards of our earth. If you pay attention, and I know, we struggle with nice, wonderful, warm days in April like this. It was like almost 80 degrees yesterday. And while we may enjoy the warm weather in the moment, climate change and things like that, and a lot of the work that the Waterfront Coalition names that they are working around equity and inclusion includes us being aware of events and activities and information that helps us get to the waterfront. We know that it's a space where we can walk by the water. It promotes wellness. It promotes great physical health. And so we have two guests today. One, it's her first time appearing, so she's technically a guest, but she's not a guest. I was just informed. Facebook told her she was a top fan. And so I'm so honored to have her here. And also we have Joanne from the CRC, the Charles River Conservancy, but they go by the CRC. And so we're going to bring them in right now, both Aaron and Joanne, and they're going to chat with us this morning about what they do, the Boston Waterfront Coalition, as well as Earth Day. And so do me a favor. Often we talk about there's nothing to do in the city and things like that. Hit that share button, invite others into the Java Cafe so they can get this information, hear about not only what's going on for Earth Day. We have the Waterfront Wellness Week that's coming. We have the Java with Jimmy Cookout and other things. Joanne is going to tell us about other things that the CRC does away from next Saturday. And so, Aaron, I'm going to end with you because they kind of have an idea of who you are. So we'll start with Joanne. Joanne, please introduce yourself. Say good morning. We'll go to Aaron and then come back and learn a little bit about you and what the CRC is doing in the partnership with the coalition.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me here. Hi, everyone. I'm Joanne Lai. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Communications and Outreach Manager at the Charles River Conservancy. Started probably at the end of August of 2022. So not full year, but definitely got a lot under my belt. I'll go ahead and pass it to Aaron.
Aaron, go ahead. Now, I'll just preface this a little bit. You all see Erin's name pop up in the comments here and there when her wonderful beau and husband is on and things like that. But I think it's just awesome today to have you here, Erin, so they can see your face, hear from you away from the comments, and about the work that not only you're doing with the coalition, but just the Davis system. So please introduce yourself in a little bigger context of what you do with the coalition, because I know folks want to know who you are.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here, Jimmy, for that wonderful introduction. And again, Joanne, thank you as well for being here for our Waterfront Wellness Wednesdays with Jimmy. My name is Erin Douglas. I am the Operations Advisor for the Coalition for Resilient Inclusive Waterfront. And I am honored to be here today. I do wear a few hats in terms of my organization, the Davis System, represents the coalition, but a few other people. And you have seen me in the comments, representing multiple of those comments for my husband to be. Countdown, not my husband just yet, Jimmy. I know. Thank you all so much, and I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. We're going to get more into Erin's going to talk with us sort of around the coalition's awareness of events that's going on leading up to Earth Day, on Earth Day. And Joanne is going to tell us a little bit about the CRC, because one of the things that is paramount about the coalition is drawing the relationship between Earth Day and what the coalition does. And so, Joanne, tell us a little bit about the CRC, and then Erin will come back to you and learn more about Earth Day.
Yeah, of course. So the Charles River Conservancy, we're an organization of 23 years now, and one of our mission is to, really strive to make the Charles River and its park well-maintained network of natural urban places that invite and engage everyone in their use and stewardship. So that can be, whether it's boating, kayaking activities, or even jogging, walking, biking along the pathways, any way to get people connected to the river and really build, this community space.
Absolutely. Erin, we've talked in meetings, but the coalition and Anthony and Ian and folks who have been on often talk about the relationship between health, the work that's coming up in the next few months and years around the Waterfront Coalition. Can you, once again, for those that may be listening for the first time, just do a little correlation between the work, well, not correlation, but tell us about the work of the coalition.
Yeah, so the Coalition for Resilient and Inclusive Waterfront is an alliance of almost 60 diverse nonprofit organizations that are all focused on bringing the pressing issues facing Boston waterfront, harbors, and rivers and islands to the forefront of the public conversation, and always doing so with equity and inclusion at every step of the way. We're actually approaching our 2-year anniversary, and we started around programming with the election at that time, doing a candidate forum and questionnaire, but so throughout these last 2 years, we've really served as a convener and amplifier for our partners' work on the waterfront as a whole, like the CRC, and amplifying the amazing work they're doing, but also just centering the waterfront as a resource to all residents of Boston, regardless of the neighborhood that they live in or their socioeconomic background. Access to the water is for everyone in our city. Additionally, the coalition has done things like conduct surveys where we found out that 60% of Boston residents do feel like our water access isn't a resource, but less than 50% actually go. And I think that is a perfect example of what the coalition is about, because we serve to stand in that gap and to find a way to get our residents to the water.
Erin, I'm not going to let it pass by that we have two women here. We just came off of Women's History Month, and I think it's important to talk about how the coalition is very intentional about including women and girls in the work and in their voice as well. And so can you speak to that? And we can get ready to talk about the Earth Day as well. But I noticed that is something that the coalition is very intentional about. And because we have both of you here, I just observed and needed to name that.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. And it definitely is an intentionality that we walk with. As I said before, at every step of the way in our planning process, we work to have equity and inclusion as a part of that process. So constantly, continuously bringing in women and girls. We look back to our amazing panel we had with you last year on the water, had two amazing Mariana and Sheena on the show, and just to continuing to have work with partners like the YMCA to partner to bring programming to young girls. And this is a part of what the coalition is all about. And we'll continue to strive to have young people, people of color, women and girls always at the center of our tables.
Absolutely. Joanne, tell us a little bit how your work in the CRC ties into Earth Day, and we'll bring it back to Erin for the overall. But tell us about what you're doing specifically for next Saturday.
Yeah, so for Earth Day, we have a Earth Day cleanup along the Charles River. This is actually a 2-day event. So we have both Friday and Saturday planned for groups to come out to do a cleanup. And Earth Day cleanup is actually organized by Charles River Conservancy, us, but also Emerald Necklace Conservancy, Esplanade, Waltham Land Trust, Charles River Watershed Association. So it's a partnership between all of these organizations. And I would say Charles River cleanup really builds on a national effort as part of the American Rivers National River Cleanup. So I think there's this acknowledgement that there's a lot more litter that needs to be picked up. There's a lot more of caring to do. And I think it just gets a lot of people out to the rivers, both to enjoy outdoors and also to give back to, the environment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, Erin, what are some of the other events? Because one good thing about the coalition is it's a depository of like all waterfront, wellness sort of events. And so are there other things that are going on in addition? Because basically you all are giving people options, choices to go to different parts of the city to participate. And I know we're focusing on those that are, centered around the waterfront, but there are a lot of options. What are some of the other things going on, Erin?
Yeah, well, first, I would say please check out our website and follow us on social media as we continue to always post about our partners and the events that they have, not just for Earth Day, but throughout the year. But to list a few, we have Martin's Park on April 21st. They will be doing planting for Earth Day and in honor of Earth Day and the anniversary of the Boston bombing, as the Martin's Park is named after one of the first responders who died during the Boston bombing. Additionally, Boston Harbor Now will be doing a Moakley Park cleanup on 4/22. Pears Park.
Hey, Moakley Park?
Huh?
Did you say Moakley Park? It just, for some reason,
Yes.
that stood out to me real quick.
Moakley Park in Dorchester cleanup on this 22nd. Pier 5 Association, also on the 22nd, will have an Earth Day Harbor Walk celebration at the Charlestown Navy Yard. And then the Neponset River Watershed Association will have a spring cleanup from 9 a.m. to noon. And would like to thank Ton for dropping in the links if in the chat. If you are interested in any of the events I just named or how to sign up, you can use these links to register.
Absolutely. Erin, let's go a little bit into Earth Day, the Waterfront Coalition. Joanne, will come back to you too, because there is really that intentionality around inclusiveness and resilience with the waterfront. From your perspective, Erin, why do Black and Brown, BIPOC folks need to be intentional and proactive, not just around these activities, but the ongoing work and advocacy and research and information and contribution to what a new design of this waterfront, because it's happening all over the world. And Boston is not, just one isolation or one isolated waterfront. And so if you were able to speak to, I don't know, millennials, young people, whomever, why is it important that we pay attention and we participate?
I don't want to out myself, but I am the first generation of Gen Z. So you have a Gen Zer on your show, not millennial.
You just really nicely called me out, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
For me, I grew up in Dorchester, in the Fields Corner area. I went to school in Roxbury, in Nubian Square. And for me, access to the water as somebody who suffers from asthma, having clean air, all of these things are important. In the 2016 Climate Ready Boston report, it actually stated that Roxbury, which we all know is fully landlocked, is actually vulnerable for coastal and ravine flooding, storm water flooding, and extreme heat. And this is one of our in our community is one of the highest rates of people of color. And they are dramatically impacted by all of these three things in a landlocked area.
Everything else.
On top of all the other things that we are dealing with in the communities like Roxbury. And I think until people of color are intentionally brought into these conversations, we will always continue to have the most dramatic impacts. And it needs to start with us caring about our environment. Like if you don't care about your neighborhood and the environment within it, how can we care about the people across the world and their access to clean water? Well, actually, not even across the world. It's happening right here in Jackson, Mississippi, and Flint, Michigan. And those are also communities of color. So,
Erin, okay. Joanne, because I could deviate real quick, and then I know we're probably going to go a different way. But Joanne, what is your sort of response to the same question and any reaction to what Erin said?
Yeah, definitely. I think just looking back at my, personal experience, I didn't grow up, going to, to national parks to go hiking as a child. I actually got interested in environmental work through volunteer. I volunteered in high school, which really inspired me to, look into how environmental outreach can help with decision making and become better stewards. And so I think, growing up, I think there's the opportunity to volunteer can really help others in ways to get connected to the place that they're living at, or even just to know more and get connected with other people.
Absolutely. Erin, we've talked about the wellness correlation between the waterfront. I think Joanne talked a little bit about the volunteerism. You all do have the Davis system, but you all have volunteered. Talk about the impact on wellness around being in this space, learning, volunteering. There is a correlation, and even down to just driving over, or as Mariama White Hammond, when she was on, I think it was a couple of months ago, and we talked about decreasing emissions, maybe, catch the train somewhere and just walk. What does the waterfront volunteering, participating in this space, what does it do for your wellness?
Yeah. So as I stated before, like I grew up in Dorchester. So for me in the summertime, there was like three places I hung out as a teenager. It was Carson Beach, downtown Corner Mall, and Galleria Place. And I was able to get to those three places because of the access to the tea.
Wait a minute,
And
you called me out a few minutes ago, but your reference to Galleria Mall, okay, all right, go. You're at the beginning of it.
But yeah, for me, the Carson Beach was only 2 stops away from Phil's Corner. Like I was able to get there all the time. For me, I did spend a lot of my summer with a lot of my friends at Carson Beach, and that gave me access to cleanups. That gave me access to activities on the waterfront. It gave me opportunities to volunteer, to get things on my resume at a younger age. Just seeing people doing the work and being able to have a space that gave me a space for wellness in terms of like actually, as I said before, asthma, breathing clean air. It gave me a space for career environment, envisionment, being able to see other people working on the water. How many of our youth do that? Do the lifeguard program, and then we talk about community action. That was the only free time my mother didn't drive me somewhere. I got to take the train, go by myself. So it was community to hang out with my friends. I think all in all, having that access for our youth is so important. And again, as I stated before, it starts small. When you see trash on your street in front of your home, do you pick up that trash? Are you littering? If you're doing those small things, will have the larger rippling effect on how you see our community, how you show up in community when it comes to our environment.
Absolutely. You spoke to youth, and Joanne, you said you started volunteering in high school. And so, Joanne, if you could talk to young people, I heard the governor at the service, and we just wanted to name our great king, Mel King, that talked about advocacy across the board. And I wonder what influence and what he'd have to say about the wonderful work that crew is doing. But Maura talked about so much. I'm sorry, the governor talked about so much going on in the world, and our young people are often the foundation, bringing attention to, and the fire behind. What would you say to young people right now that may be looking for ways to volunteer, or looking to give back, or looking to just be well with other community? What would you say to young people around the benefits of being an advocate around environment?
Yeah, I think today there's so many ways to get connected online, and it's through online platforms where organizations can promote, events, free events, hopefully, to get outdoors and show up, whether it be volunteering for a one-day event or getting connected through a stewardship program. I think those are some of the ways that people can start to get connected and see if they're interested in a career path that is focused on the environment and land stewardship.
Absolutely. I wanted to go to one of the comments, our good friend and supporter who we know. It is important for the BIPOC community of Boston to focus on the uses of Boston's waterfront because it has played a significant role in shaping the city's history, culture, and economy. Understanding its past and present uses can inform decisions about its future development and preservation. And so, Thaddeus, I definitely agree with that. Erin, we've talked with the coalition before. Plans are being made right now around how we're addressing the impact of climate change. I'll ask you again, and you so speak to this. I know you can speak to this well. Participation around policy, because there's the events and activities. You name some self-accountability, not just the waterfront, but walking right outside your door if you see trash. That's an environmental issue. And so how important is it for us to participate when meetings are called, when design meetings are out there, the BPDA doing stuff, and how important is it that we be intentional about participating?
Yeah, everything that is being built in our city will have some type of climate impact, which means it will have an impact on us. And so we should be a part of every step of the planning process. So that means going to your abutters meeting in your local community to figure out what is being built or what they're trying to build in your community. That does mean listening to city council and state committee meetings on our environment and on the issues impacting it. It means actually taking time to educate our youth and children about environmental impacts and what it means. So it's not something that they see as a lack of a priority. I know when we talk about policy issues, a lot of people name like racial justice. They name women's rights. They can name a lot of things, but environment can never seem to be at the top of that list when it comes to for people of color. And all those issues are important, but if we have no environment to live in, if we can't breathe air, then all these other issues truly do, at least for me, come second to the ability to actually breathe clean air, have access to clean water. These are basic human rights and necessities that are not given to everyone, especially in this country, as I stated before, in cases like Flint in Jackson. And so before, I saw an article come out not too long ago that Massachusetts got rated like one of the cleanest waters in the country. But it still can be something that impacts us.
Erin, but thank you, because I was sitting here thinking of a question I wanted to ask Joanne, that the CRC's name has a connotation of conserving. Why do we have the CRC? Based just on what Erin said, talk about that work, because there's the Earth Day work, but I'm sure you guys do other work outside of, Earth Day. And so based on what Erin just said about, we can't necessarily take for granted that we're good. Did Flint, did the other place that you named, Erin, did they take for granted, not pay attention? I don't want to say not, but be faced with other life issues that they could not give full attention to this issue. Joanne, why do we have the work of the CRC?
Yeah. So besides the volunteer programs that we offer, we also have a lot of different programming work along the Charles River, and one of them being the floating wetland. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of the floating wetland, but it's basically kind of like a 700 square foot artificial island, but it has, native plant species on it, really to promote and build more biodiversity into the Charles River, especially with so much urban development along the lower Charles. And also, I think with the floating wetland, not only does it increase biodiversity, we've seen a lot of different species use it, bird species use it, but also we've used it as an engagement tool, having young folks go and kayak to the Charles River to kind of build a interest in science, STEAM, kind of a mindset, just getting people curious about, what's going on in the Charles River. Another thing that we do besides the floating wetland is the city splash event that's actually happening in June. And this is, a one-day event that is permitted through DCR, Department of Conservation and Recreation, where people get to jump into the Charles River. And this is only through a permitted event, right? We've all known the Charles River as that dirty water, but there's so many progress that has been made over the years where, we've tested the water quality before, months ahead before the event. And that's kind of a way to celebrate and get connected back to the Charles River.
Joanne, I just got a little distracted here. Now, our Thaddeus has been making some wonderful contributions, and then his last one, I'm going to put it up in a second. But The reason I asked you that question around the CRC's name is the fact that you have an entity that is working toward conserving. That's where I was sort of going based on what Aaron said earlier about not taking for granted the fact that, we're on Boston Harbor and we're good. What was the old thing? The old movie, The Perfect Storm? The perfect storm, the wrong environmental circumstances, and things could happen. And so I just really wanted to bring out the point that we have these agencies that work to conserve the integrity of what the Charles River does, of what you talked about, Joanne, I think you mentioned the Emerald Necklace Society or that group, conserving green space. We're talking blue space right now, but blue and green, they play off and they play together well. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that before. And Anthony, as I said before, he said that he got to see the floating wetland last year, and it's an amazing project to increase resiliency and biodiversity in the weather. Rather, I'm going to go to Thaddeus. Joanne, I'm sorry. Thaddeus put a whole paragraph in here. For the youth of color, access to water and opportunities for water-based activities can be particularly important for wellness. Studies have shown that being near or in water can have a positive effect on mental health, and exposure to natural environments can improve physical health outcomes. However, systemic barriers such as lack of access to transportation, racial, economic segregation, and historical exclusion from waterfront spaces have limited opportunities for youth of color to engage. And again, I think I agree. And that's one of the things I had mentioned. And this is not a statement from the Boston Waterfront Coalition. In working with them, I had asked someone, I think last year, I was like, can a policy sort of space be that we work with the MBTA to figure out a equitable way for folks that live around Ashmont? You got the Silver Line sort of in Nubian Square that can get you kind of to South Station and then, get you to the seaport. But not just that, we have Neponset, but there isn't a lot of public transportation. So Thaddeus, thank you for raising that. Now, in just a little petty of him, yes, I can swim. But I am one of those swimmers that my feet, have to touch the bottom when they need to. But I can swim. I had an incident last year where my feet didn't, and I realized that I can swim. But Thaddeus, thank you for your contributions and sort of calling me out there. Joanne, as we get ready to wrap up, anything that we have the, and I want to say it right, the floating wetland. Are you doing any summer programming with young people? What's coming up for the summer from the CRC? And Aaron, we'll get ready to wrap up with you with other things that are going on with the coalition or other events for Earth Day.
Yeah, I think our signature event, City Splash, is our big one that's happening in June. But there's definitely a lot of other programming work. Our volunteer program is actually started just last month from March all the way to fall. And I think that's where a lot of our work is focused on in the summer as well.
Okay. And Aaron, did we cover everything as far as the events that you're aware of? And folks, I just have to acknowledge the good pops that's in here. Anthony Senior preach, and you really did. Like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Aaron, did we miss anything?
In terms of events, no, we did not. But there was just one more comment that I wanted to make in terms of Massachusetts. So I know our coalition is about Boston's waterfronts, but as a whole, all of our waterways are connected in one way or another. So just wanted to talk about Massachusetts as a whole. Massachusetts serves as a special place for two things. We have the first public beach in Revere Beach. And we have the first one of the only Black beaches in Martha's Vineyard. And I think that is special to our state. And we need to preserve these beaches in our waterways. We need to care about our waterways and our islands and rivers. And starting on the small by caring about what's happening in your neighborhood so that we can care about the larger impact it has.
A part of me and I know you gave a general of what care looks like, but I'm so inclined to ask you rather go a little bit deeper about caring about what you just mentioned. Go a little bit deeper, because I want to seize this opportunity that folks are hearing from you from a real life perspective, and I'm enjoying you, Erin, and you, Joanne, as well. Go a little bit more into care.
Yeah, I feel like when people think about the environment or our waterways and like protection, they think about like chaining themselves to like a tree or something. And like that is and that is such a dramatic explanation of like saving the environment and what that needs. It can literally start with like your own personal goals about the things that you choose to eat. Like people who choose to become a vegan, that is a environmental statement that you're making. People like the doing the cleanups on your own street. Like when you notice, especially as we live in urban communities, we have trash everywhere. Like, are we helping to clean up beautification of our own community? When we talk about showing up to those community meetings, when we have a mayor now who is leading on a environmental plan, who has opened up a whole office around this. This is
Youth
not something.
jobs, all of that. Yep.
Exactly, and I believe there's still that office might still have job openings, as it is so new, and so this is not something that is far off from us. It is happening right here in our communities, and until we start to care about the betterment of Boston and Boston's impact, then it will not translate to the national and impact that it really needs to have.
I appreciate that. And Thaddeus again is right. I'm usually clowning, but this is such an important area that we tend to skip over. Thank you all for all the work. And we talked about it at the Java with Jimmy on the ICA last year about there's this joke about, Black folks don't swim and things like that. But we need to continue these conversations along with partners like the CRC and others. Boston Wild Black's a partner. Shout out to other folks that are, I don't want to start naming names and then I miss somebody, of the 60 folks. And that's grown because when we started last year, wasn't it 50 or 55 or something?
It was like almost 50 an hour, like over. Now we're about to be at the 60 mark. So continuing to grow and still looking for new partners. So please feel free to reach out to us if your organization doesn't necessarily have to be exactly about water, but have members that we can help bring people to the water.
Absolutely. And Joanne, I just want to thank you as well for being here along with Erin, because it really hit me when Erin was talking that the intention that we hear these sort of say it for me again, because y'all got me excited and I tend to get tongue twisted.
Charles River Conservancy.
Conservancy. We hear these names and sort of, I think, just often think, and again, this is a statement just from James, not on behalf of the coalition. We think that these entities, and let's name that sometimes they have not been inclusive, generally speaking. And we think that either we can't be a part, it's not important to us to be a part of this society or things like that. And so I really want to appreciate you in that position in comms and engagement, ensuring that there is that engagement going on in BIPOC communities. And Erin, everything that you're doing just around this work. And I thought you were just the operating with Davis system. You're the operating for the chief operating for the coalition.
I support Tracy in operations and programming work as well. That is my sweet spot. I'm not policy or like organizing as much.
Not yet.
I do, but operations, and that's my baby.
Okay. All right, Erin and I have a joke. I'll just say the systems are just a little bit down the road, and we'll leave that there. But Joanne and Erin, thank you both. Before we go, I just wanted to remind you all, and I don't have the graphic ready, but Waterfront Wellness Week, that begins on when, Erin? June 17th?
June 17th to June 24th.
June 17th to June 24th, and then somewhere around the middle, in the early part of the 20s, on the 21st, we're going to have Java with Jimmy back on the waterfront. And it's going to be a cookout this year. And so please plan to hold that date as well. And Summer Splash again is when, Joanne?
Yeah, City Splash is on June 17th. June 17th with a rain date of June 18th.
Okay.
It's a part of Waterfront Wellness Week.
I'm a little, let me drink some more Java this morning. And so, yes, on the 21st, don't forget, and very, very soon, if not yet, you will be able to go to the Waterfront Wellness, the Boston Coalition. I see y'all got me excited. The Boston Waterfront Coalition's webpage to get all the information about everything that's going on for the Wellness Week and throughout the year that the partners are doing. And we wanted to reiterate that to be a partner, you don't have to work in a space of water, equity and things like that. But if you work in a space that wants to do anything to improve the quality of life of your constituency, you can be a partner, because being a partner in the Boston Waterfront Coalition does have contribution to the quality of life of those that you serve. And I say that unequivocally from the bottom of my heart, because all these little things that connect, just like the waterfront is connected, as Aaron said, these intersectionalities of wellness and the work that organizations are doing, y'all need to sign up, reach out, and find out how to be a partner. Just to Pop's question, what is the date for Java with Jimmy on the waterfront? June 21st. Pops, don't even, because y'all know if he
gonna find his way to Boston for that.
I would pass out. I would really pass out. I also, Aaron, is it okay if folks want to get more information? There is the website, but if folks want to get in touch with you, is there a way that they can reach out?
Yeah, I actually just dropped it in the chat, but I realized it only gets sent to us. So
Look,
there we go.
I know I was trying to set that up and be cute
Thank
about
you.
it. I see it.
Sorry.
You guys can reach Erin. And Joanne, if you wanted to share your information as well, this is how you can reach out to Erin. She is very responsive and follows up, but I just really appreciate the passion from both of you around, this work. And I'm going to put Joanne's email up as well. And so that's Erin's right there. And Joanne's is coming up in 1 second. There's a lot that goes on in the background here. And there is Joanne's as well. So you have Erin's email to just get general information about the coalition, as well as Waterfront Wellness Week, as well as anything that the Boston Waterfront Coalition is supporting around Earth Day, and also to follow up with the Charles River Conservancy, aka CRC, quick way to say it. You can email Joanne as well. And so I really appreciate both of you. And there were a lot of nuggets that both of you dropped today. And so I really appreciate you being here and sharing this information with the audience. Don't forget that Waterfront Wednesdays is every second Wednesday here in the Java Cafe. This segment is sponsored by the Boston Waterfront Coalition. We appreciate that partnership. And we're going to continue to bring attention to these issues. I think I saw something else from Thaddeus that talked about looking forward to the cookout. Absolutely. And so I really appreciate both of you, and we will have our next episode on the next second Wednesday, which will be in May. Shout out to Ian, everybody in the background. May's, this was fire. May's show is going to be fire. I was going to almost say brimstone, but no, fire. Let me get out of here before I get in trouble. I appreciate both of you, Joanne and Erin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, please, if you have any interest in being a part of the work that's going on, don't forget to email Erin to just say, hey, saw you on Java. Yeah, mention that. Saw you on Java with Jimmy. And I'm interested in activities and work, getting information. They have a mailing list. You can be in touch with the Davis system in general around a lot of things that they're doing in community as well. And so, Pops, it's good to see you in here. I know I'm a prodigal son, but love and appreciate you, man. And thank you all for being with us today. Don't forget, tomorrow morning is Thursday the 13th. So some of you may have heard that there is a huge town hall meeting taking place in Roxbury this evening. Senator Warren, Mayor Michelle Wu, Governor Maura Healey, and Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Got a phone call, said that the senator wanted to talk one-on-one. So depending on signal and stuff like that, we may go live about 5:40, 5:45 from Hibernian Hall live this evening, or I may just interview her and cast it tomorrow morning, because as many of you know, The Boston Wild Black Summit begins tomorrow morning. I'm trying to squeeze in programming to see if I can make that happen, but I'm part of the summit, presenting there, moderating on a panel around mental health. It's going to be ridiculous. We got Keith Mascow from the Triggered Project, also Toy Burton from Dee Dee's Cry. And so please just keep an ear out for press the notification, sign up for notifications. I know they haven't been working good, but make sure you select to be notified when we go live. We'll let you know about that. And that's it for me today. Again, thank you to our sponsor, their sponsor and partner, to the Boston Waterfront Coalition, to the entire team there. Thank you for this opportunity to hold this space to keep attention around inclusiveness and equity in the waterfront. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. or later today. I'll let you guys know. All right. Have a good day, everybody. We will talk to you soon. And enjoy